Welcome back to my channel, guys. Before I get into this video's topic, I just want to start by saying I finally got a haircut. I don't like it. I feel like I look absurd. I feel like I look as though I have a wig on. So basically, here's what happened. Basically, I haven't had a real haircut in probably a couple of years, as some of you apparently have noticed, because I've been getting comments about how I need to get it styled. And a friend also told me I needed to get it styled. So I went to get a haircut yesterday and I told the barber, I don't want to lose any volume or length. I just want to get it like cleaned up. I just want it to look more polished because admittedly it was kind of like Tarzanish, which I thought it looked good, but I thought I probably do need somebody, an expert, to kind of shape this a little bit, to guide it towards its ultimate destination. I mean, from certain angles, it doesn't look awful. I just feel like this is how I looked like 6 months ago when I was getting to that awkward length here, where the hair just starts to bloop, frizz out, and it looks like frilly, like it looks kind of silly to me, you know? And then I tried to kind of zhuzh it up before. Oh, that's not too bad. Let's see. I try. Okay, actually, I kind of like that better. But yeah, this is how it looked 6 months ago. Anyway, so the barber, he cut off a little bit of length in the front, like he trimmed in the front, which maybe is like that's what you're supposed to do. I don't know. And he purposefully, it would seem, kept it longer, thicker in the back and shorter here in the front. So I think the point was to give it some more like concrete shape and dimensions versus I was starting to kind of look like a lampshade a little bit. I was getting that commentary both in my personal life and here on my YouTube channel. Anyway, if you're a hair connoisseur, please let me know your thoughts. Did I just go to the wrong barber? Did he use the right strategy to keep it longer in the back? Listen, it doesn't look awful. I just right now looking at myself, I feel like I look a little bit silly. But I digress. I will say the volume, I like the thickness of my hair. I shampooed yesterday, so that explains that. That explains the thickness and the humidity, of course, of Miami. Anyway, let's get into the actual topic of this video, why don't we? Something I've been thinking about quite a bit recently is this idea of a societal blueprint that we're all indoctrinated with, no matter the culture or where you grew up. We all, to an extent, have a societal blueprint that we were taught to follow, be guided by, and emulate throughout our life. And the most obvious way I can think of how this is a thing is the idea of getting married and having kids and having the picket fence, the white picket fence house. And I'm reaching that age now. I'm in my mid 30s and I'm finding more people around me going through this sort of panic stage of, oh my God, the clock is ticking, whether it's to have kids, whether it's to get married. I see it from both men and women, but I see it way more from women, this sort of like desperation to beat the clock. And of course, I understand that to an extent with getting pregnant, right? That actually has a biological timeline, a deadline, I guess, an expiration date. So I understand the stress of it, but I'm also perplexed as a gay person observing this. I'm perplexed by how people can be in their 30s and their 40s as well and still be so caught up in what I would call living within the matrix. And so it's got me thinking about how, as a gay person, one of the privileges really of being gay is that you're at a certain point when you accept being gay. I think whether as a child or as an adult, something in your brain shifts where you officially exit that societal blueprint, right? Because it's like you've already broken the rules. You've already stepped out of what you were supposed to be. And there's a freedom to that, right? There's something very liberating about realizing you've been indoctrinated into this heteronormative um, dynamic, leaving that behind, and then you start to think, what else can I leave behind, right? What else has been instilled in me that I don't need to fulfill? I get to decide my own destiny. Hopefully, that obviously doesn't mean that the indoctrination stops and that we as gay people don't have other things that are keeping us, let's say, mentally enslaved. But I do wonder how much of me observing this in friends around me and being I'm completely unbothered by the idea of marriage or having kids. And of course, certain families, there are certain contexts where you might feel more pressure, right? If you're the only kid, right? You're the only one with the potential. You're the only child in the family with the potential to continue the legacy. Or if you're super religious or come from a very religious family, there might be a totally different set of pressure points on um, fulfilling a certain duty, right? Of um, having kids. I feel like across religions, there's always this major duty of having kids as a sign of like kids and family being a sign of devotion to God. But my point is, I think being gay unlocks a certain part of your mindset when it comes to not having to follow the rules of the blueprint that we've all been taught to to follow and to emulate. The only downside I can think of to this is if you break free from an infrastructure mentally of what you were told you're supposed to be, at a certain point that also means now there's zero structure. And I think some people need structure in order to be able to thrive. Like I think a lot of gay men, it's the other extreme where they're so lost. And of course, you can be lost for a lot of different reasons, right? It doesn't have to be related to this, but I feel like a lot of gay men just like don't know how to act, who to be, how to relate to other gay men, how to interact with other gay men beyond sex. And I think that's where then the grinder sort of culture, the sniffies culture comes into play, or the cruising culture, where a piece of like humanity is lost when gay men go to the complete other extreme of this blueprint that I mentioned, where now it's like a free for all and there's zero rules. And when there's zero rules and total freedom, I think that's also when chaos can ensue. I mean, that for me is one of the takeaways of the HIV and AIDS epidemic, that it's like there's a certain level, there's a certain moment where freedom is at too much freedom is actually intoxicating and not self-serving or not serving the community either. One of the things I'm realizing as I get older is that ideally everything in life should be a balance, like not one extreme or the other. I'm not saying that this traditional blueprint that we've all been indoctrinated with, that we have to continue that, because I think it does more harm than good. But I also don't think the other extreme of zero commitment, um, zero nuclear family structure, more exceptions than the rule. I don't know that that's the right approach either. Ideally, people should do what they want to do and live freely. But again, I think at a certain point, then one's concern or preoccupation with freedom can totally trump other people's freedoms, or how they value other people or treat other people. And to me, this is a theme in American culture, by the way. I feel like it's such a freedom centric society that at a certain point, one's concern with their own freedom completely disregards other people and other people's potential freedoms, if that makes sense. Please let me know in the comments what you think. As always, very curious to hear what you have to say and how you feel about this. I look forward to reading your responses.